deck. Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Christy Marie Gordon.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Ms. Gordon, you're here on a Superior Court probation violation warrant for alleged violations of terms 6, 7, 12, 14, 15, and 21. I have appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing November 4th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. I am affirming the bond in the amount of $500. It's a secured appearance bond. You can pay that directly or work with a bail bonding company. The amount's less than $1,000, so some companies may not work with that number. My understanding is that there are some that will. I don't know what their terms would be, though. So if you pay the bond, you'll be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You're also promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. Plus, you're not to possess any weapons. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol. You must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department and contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Ms. Gordon, do you have any questions?
I do, because I did not know that I violated or had a warrant for my arrest for violating. My last conversation with my probation officer, she said that I was going to be transferred back to the Mars unit, and so I thought I was complying by emailing the Mars unit information that I have gotten for the last couple months. I did not find out that I had a warrant for my arrest or that I had violated until just recently, whenever I had came in contact with police with something that my husband was involved in.
Okay, just a moment. Let me look at the probation notes. So, I mean, it looks like the last conversation you had with probation was on May 22nd. You were supposed to appear in person. You didn't appear in person. And then after that, you didn't make any more contact.
I have screenshots in my phone that I don't have with me, but that of me trying to contact my probation officer and getting no reply. I both emailed her and texted her. I didn't get any reply. I called her. I left multiple messages, and I didn't get any response. So that's why I figured the last conversation that I physically had with her was saying that I was going to be transferred back to the Mars unit for white-collar crimes. So I just assumed that since she wasn't responding to me or my messages, that's what was happening.
I mean, I guess, Ms. Gordon, it's difficult for me to believe that you thought you were completely kosher with everything. I'm just letting you know, it's difficult for me to believe because your last conversation, they're telling you to come in, right? And then you know that there's consequences if you don't do it. So it seems to me like you sort of gambled on not having contact instead of, why not just absolutely make sure, wait a minute, am I in compliance? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? I can't get a hold of somebody. I'm going to go down to the office and get this taken care of. That's where I'm struggling here because if you're going to tell me, look, I honestly 100% did everything I thought I was supposed to do, it's just a little tough for me to believe that there wouldn't be something in the back of your head saying, wait a minute, it's been a long time. I think there might be some problems here.
If I could, whenever on that May 22nd, whenever she wanted me to come into the office, I explained to her my husband was in jail at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I had my children, and I said, as long as I can bring my kids in, I'm good. And she said, no, you can't bring your kids in. If you could get somebody to watch them, and at that time I had no one to watch them. And then I let her know I can come in on Thursday. And she said, I'm not available on Thursday. And I said, I can come in on Friday. And she said, I'm not available on Friday. And I was like, okay, how about Monday? I have the screenshots of those messages. I did everything in my ability. And then for the next week after that, I continued to call and leave voicemails and emails. And she has been an extremely difficult probation officer. If you can see anything on my probation before her, I've complied with everything that I needed to do.
Well, so, look, I just want to be clear. I'm sure it's really difficult to be on probation. I don't doubt that, okay? I do see that there was a conversation, you had the issue with your kids and things like that. I get that that's a pain too. I guess my point still is, though, that there had to be something telling you, wait a minute, I think there's a problem here. I haven't talked to probation in a really long time. There's got to be this probably isn't going to work out right for me if I do not make sure that I have some sort of contact with my probation officer, even if she's not responding back, because you can always go into the probation office.
At that time, when she wasn't responding back to me, I was emailing the MARS unit the information that I had gotten from them to the MARS unit to comply with that, because that's what I had thought that was happening. And I also have those emails from my email to the MARS unit, probation department.
I guess my question then is, if you think that it's just fine to do the MARS, I mean, like, why not make sure there's something in writing, there's some sort of communication that, hey, am I doing what I need to be doing to be in compliance? Like, why not make sure, like, hey, am I doing what I need to be doing here?
Well, and that's what I was, like, I've been going through a lot since my husband went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Even after he came back from jail, there's been 2 different domestic disputes or domestic violence things against me.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know if you can see any of that, but so I've just been trying to take care of my kids, basically.
Okay. Well, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Ms. Gordon. I will, because this is your first offense. I mean, you were in contact for a good while before. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but what I'm going to do is switch this to what's called an unsecured bond. So an unsecured bond means that you don't have to pay anything today. You will be able to be released today. It'll be about 4 hours to 6 hours, like you're being released on your own recognizance, okay? As long as you go to your probation hearing on November 4th at 8:30 a.m., that bond, the $500, gets wiped out. You don't have to pay a penny of it. Okay? So if you go, that'll take care of that. The other thing you need to do, though, is you've got to get in contact with your probation officer within 72 hours. And understand, like a phone call or a text message isn't going to be sufficient.
Just go down there.
You need to go. I mean, you can try that, but more than likely you're going to need to go down there and make sure to report.
Okay.
And, you know, I don't know if it is the same probation officer. And then I guess what I'd say, Ms. Gordon, is just going forward is, look, you need to not assume anything, okay? Because you're going to get into a lot of trouble if you do.
Okay.
If you think, oh, well, maybe it's this, get it in writing.
Okay.
There's a judge who signed something that says this is what I'm supposed to be doing at this time. Okay, because I've seen before where people say, oh, I thought my probation ended after 2 years, and so after 2 years I just stopped contacting. It's like, no. Until you have something in writing, either from your probation officer or from a judge saying, this is what you're supposed to be doing now, don't assume anything, okay?
Okay.
Because I don't want you to be separated from your kids. I don't want you to lose a job or any of those things. No judge does want those things.
Right.
But you've got to make sure that you're doing the things. And if you make every single effort and you never let any excuse get in the way, you won't have to come back here. You won't be violated with probation.
Right.
But it's when people say, you know what? I think I'm trying to contact. My probation officer is difficult. I don't want to deal with them. That's when you get into trouble. And I know some probation officers. They're wonderful people. I'm sure sometimes they can be difficult. You know, people can be both sometimes, right? But my point is, this is doing these things, as much of a pain as they are, is what keeps you from having to come back here and possibly spend time in prison. Okay? So I get it. It might be frustrating. It might be difficult. But just do it for your sake. Do it for your kids' sakes.
Right.
Okay? All right. Ms. Gordon, do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so.
Okay. So again, court date's November 4th. Make sure to be there.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Good luck to you. Alicio Vila and then Lawrence Dominguez will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Yes, sir. It's Eliseo Villa.
Thank you, Mr. Villa.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Villa, you are here on a Superior Court failure to appear warrant. You have a status conference November 1st, 8:31 a.m., preliminary hearing November 5th, 8:31 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse.
Okay.
Mr. Villa, I am affirming the bond in your warrant in the amount of $500. It's a secured appearance bond, so you can pay that directly or work with a bail bonding company. They generally require 10% plus collateral, 10% it's less than $1,000. So some bail bonding companies may not work with it. I think there are some that will, but I don't know what their terms would be.
Okay.
If you pay your bond, you will be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates.
Sure.
Promising to comply with pretrial services supervision and the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to return to the scene of the alleged crime, and you must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department. Mr. Villa, do you have any questions?
Yes. Would you be willing to lower the bond? I'm not saying to remove it, but lower it. I was under the influence. I've been under the influence. I've been living in the streets. I've made an attempt. I've been making an attempt to live in an all-men's rehab facility. If you're willing to work with me, I will, make the arrangements necessary to make it to the court. But Judge, I ask you if you could please lower that bond.
Yeah.
I would.
So, Mr. Villa, I'm seeing here, it looks like you've been back here 4 times.
Yes.
And so 4 times people have given you chances to get to court.
Okay.
Which is a lot. So I'll be honest, I think the $500, I'm affirming that bond. I think the $500 is actually kind of low.
Okay.
Okay, you're not getting to court. You got to get to court. You got to get this taken care of. I get that you don't like this. From my perspective,
Yes.
though, the kindest thing I can do is to keep the bond in place to make sure you get to court.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Villa.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
November 1st, right?
Lawrence Dominguez and then Mark Rivera will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Lawrence Dominguez.
Mr. Dominguez, sir, you're here on a Superior Court probation violation warrant for alleged violations of terms 3 and 5. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a probation hearing November 4th, 8:30 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. I am affirming the bond in the warrant in the amount of $250. It is secured appearance. Technically, you can work with a bail bonding company. However, that amount is so low. I don't think any will work with that number, but I may be mistaken. If you pay your bond, you will be released. You're then promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You're also promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. Plus, you're not to possess any weapons. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol. You must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department and contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release. Mr. Dominguez, do you have any questions?
No. I don't want to give you no sob story. I was just wondering if you could, remove the bail or whatever.
Yeah, so Mr. Dominguez, you had your probation reinstated and then almost right away again absconded. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fair. Yeah.
So I understand, Mr. Dominguez. You're making a record for yourself. If you show up, you do what you're supposed to do. Then if you do happen to get arrested, it's really easy to release you. Okay. But if you're not showing up, you're not staying in contact with your probation officer, eventually you'll spend time in prison, because understand probation's a privilege, so you don't have to go to prison. But you got to comply with it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dominguez. Good luck to you. Mark Rivera and then J.L. Howard will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Mark Anthony Rivera.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Mr. Rivera, you're here on a Superior Court failure to appear warrant. You have a status conference November 12th, 8:31 a.m., preliminary hearing November 14th, 8:31 a.m. That is at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Rivera, according to the notes, it's indicating you were arrested after attending court at Chandler City Court. So I'm going to release you on supervised release in this case.
Okay.
That means you will be leaving here in about 4 hours to 6 hours from now.
Okay.
Because I saw you were attending court in Chandler, I'm assuming that you will go to court.
Yes.
Because I'm releasing you. So again, November 12th, that's your first court date. Make sure to be there. You need to comply with pretrial services supervision and with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to possess any weapons, and you must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department within 5 days of today's date.
So on the 12th?
What's that?
On the 12th?
No, so the 12th is your court date.
Okay.
The fingerprinting, contact the police department, the arresting agency, Maybe they already took your fingerprints, maybe not. So that's what you need to contact them, make sure to get that taken care of within 5 days.
Okay.
Okay.
Here in Phoenix?
Yeah, if it was Phoenix PD that arrested you, then that's who you need to contact.
Okay.
I don't know which agency arrested you, so I can't tell you.
So I'm going to be released?
Yes, you are. You're being released in 4 hours to 6 hours.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Good luck to you. J.L. Howard and then Nicholas Soto will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your full name and provide your date of birth?
J.L. Howard,
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard, you are here on a Superior Court new case. I find probable cause for the allegation of 1 count of possession or use of dangerous drugs. That's a Class 4 felony. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a status conference November 12th, 8:31 a.m. Preliminary hearing November 14th, 8:31 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Howard, I'm going to release you on supervised release, so you are going to leave here in approximately 4 hours to 6 hours from now. Because you're being released, you're promising to go to court on all of your court dates, promising to comply with pretrial services supervision, and with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, Mr. Howard, you're not to possess any weapons.
No.
Do you have any questions, sir?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Good luck to you. Nicholas Soto and then Juan Lujan will be on deck. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Nicholas Anthony Soto.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Mr. Soto, you're here on a Superior Court direct complaint arrest warrant in which you are charged with 1 count of possession or use of dangerous drugs and 1 count of possession or use of narcotic drugs. Those are both Class 4 felonies, and 1 count of possession or use of drug paraphernalia, which is a Class 6 felony. I've appointed you an attorney. You have a status conference November 12th, 8:31 a.m., preliminary hearing November 14th, 8:31 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Mr. Soto, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. So that means you're going to leave here in approximately 4 hours to 6 hours from now. Because you're being released, you're promising to go to court on all of your court dates. You're also promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. Plus, you must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department within 5 days of today's date. Mr. Soto, do you have any questions?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Juan Lujan and then Larry Balk will be on deck. All right. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Juan Antonio Lujan,
Thank you, Mr. Lujan.
yes, sir.
Mr. Lujan, you're here on a Superior Court new case. I find probable cause for the allegations of 1 count of possession or use of narcotic drugs, a Class 4 felony, 1 count of possession or use of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony, 1 count of shoplifting, a Class 1 misdemeanor.
Yes,
I
sir.
do not find probable cause for the charge of possession or use of dangerous drugs.
Yes, sir.
The prosecutor's office may still bring that charge at a later date. Again, at this time, I don't find probable cause. I do for the others, though. So I have appointed you an attorney. You have a status conference November 12th, 8:31 a.m., preliminary hearing November 14th, 8:31 a.m. That'll be at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lujan, I am going to release you on supervised release, so that means you will leave here in approximately 4 hours to 6 hours from now. You're welcome. Because you're being released, you're promising to go to court on all of your court dates, promising to comply with the supervision and with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. In addition, you're not to return to the scene of the alleged crime. You're also not to possess any weapons. Mr. Lujan, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Thank you, my brother.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Lujan. Good luck to you.
Sir, thank you.
Larry Balk and then Alexis Burciaga will be on deck. I need to edit this one slightly, Jack. I'm sorry. Just one moment, please, sir. All right, I've edited it. Okay. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Larry William Balch.
Mr. Balch. Mr. Balch, you're here on a Superior Court direct complaint arrest warrant and alleged Term 1 probation violation because of this warrant. So in the warrant case, you are charged with 1 count of possession or use of dangerous drugs, a Class 4 felony, 1 count of possession or use of drug paraphernalia, a Class 6 felony. Alleged offense date on those is March 31st, 2024. I've appointed you an attorney, Mr. Balch, and you have a status conference November 12th, 8:31 a.m. at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. Preliminary hearing November 14th at 8:31 a.m.
Okay.
Sir, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance.
I have court, as well as November 14th, I believe, for trial for misdemeanor inside the city of Tempe. So if we could change that, that would be beneficial.
So I'm not able to do that, Mr. Balch. If you have court in Tempe on that same date, then I recommend reach out to Tempe, say, hey, I'm supposed to be at the Superior Court. Can I come in early?
Yes, sir.
Maybe the day before or the week before to get that taken care of. Okay? And again, I would change it. I'd be happy to, except I'm not able to do that.
Understand? Yeah.
Okay, you bet. So because you're being released, it should be 4 to 6 hours. You'll be on your way. You're promising to go to court, promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. Plus, you're not to possess any weapons, you're not to possess or consume any alcohol. You must submit to fingerprinting at the arresting police department within 5 days of today's date and contact your probation officer within 72 hours of release.
Okay.
Then, Mr. Balch, regarding the alleged Term 1 probation violation, I've appointed you an attorney. You have probation hearing November 4th, 8:30 a.m., again, downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. I'm releasing you on your own recognizance in this case with those same conditions and restrictions of release.
Okay.
Mr. Balch, do you have any questions?
The other question I have is, for them to, I'm sorry, for them to file, file like, what they did, like, to have it pending, they only have 30 days to get the results back from the lab, correct?
I don't know the answer to that, Mr. Balch. You can speak with your attorney about that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Alexis Burciaga, and then Irvin Hernandez will be next. Good afternoon, ma'am. Could you please state your name and provide your date of birth?
Alexis Frasco Perciaga.
Thank you, Ms. Burciaga. Ma'am, you are here on a Superior Court new case. I find probable cause for the allegation of one count of possession or use of dangerous drugs, which is a Class 4 felony. I've appointed you an attorney. Your case will be heard at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse, where you have a status conference November 12th, 8:31 a.m., preliminary hearing November 14th, 8:31 a.m. That is at the downtown Phoenix Superior Courthouse. I am going to release you on your own recognizance. That means you're going to leave here in approximately 4 hours to 6 hours from now. Because you're being released, you're promising to go to court on all of your court dates and promising to comply with the standard conditions and restrictions of release. Ms. Burciaga, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Good luck
Thank
to you.
you.
You're welcome.